Trump wants to open up ALCATRAZ again. Hey, I'm all for it. But can that actually be done? I am a little skeptical about that due to the fact the cost. It would cost billions to redo that. Is it structurally sound, the building? Who knows? Let's see what they had to say about it.
President Trump says he wants to reopen the notorious ALCATRAZ prison off the coast of California to house America's worst of the worst.
Madeline Rivera is live in Washington with the details. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. The president says he wants to reopen ALCATRAZ because he's frustrated with judges who have placed roadblocks on parts of his agenda, especially on immigration. The president saying on Truth Social, for too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt ALCATRAZ to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. The president was pressed about this when he got back to the White House last night. Here's what he said.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening.
Can't be done.
It's long been a symbol, Alcatraz. It's a symbol of law and order.
ALCATRAZ was used as a maximum security federal prison for nearly 30 years. It housed several well-known criminals, including Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly. The prison was closed in 1963 because it became too expensive to operate. Now it's a popular tourist destination with more than 1 million visitors per year. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calls the president's proposal not a serious one. But is it even possible for ALCATRAZ to lose its designation as a historical landmark? For the National Park Service's website, a property's historical designation can be considered for withdrawal at the request of the owner or the Interior Secretary, provided some criteria are met. Lawrence
About the him talking about reopening Alcatraz. Obviously, you can't reopen it. It's a museum and all that. But I do think he's highlighting the bigger picture, which is we got criminals roaming the street, Americans and non-Americans. When he said that he was considering deporting or housing Americans, he wanted the Department of Justice to look at it is to see if we can send them to Venezuela. They complained about that. And now he's saying that he wants to reopen a prison or potentially build a new prison, and they don't like that as well. But I think it's the spirit of the conversation.
It's just so funny because San Francisco doesn't want to arrest anyone, and that's why then they'll rebuild Alcatraz. But hey, let's find out. Let's get a price on it. Right. It's a perfect place. You try to escape. We watched the movie. You get eaten by sharks. Right. So let's see how much it costs to spackle it up. Put a new, maybe get a playground in there. We'll see what goes on. You know, a little shuttle so families can go visit the worst of the worst.
That's right. And his message, his point was, back then we used to lock up the most dangerous criminals. We kept them away from everybody without hesitation. And it's really been over the last just few decades, I would say, maybe just the last decade, where you have all these Democrats that seem to be more concerned with the criminal than the victim.
That's right. They wanted to reimagine our criminal justice system, and the criminals start running our streets. They demonize the police. We have record low law enforcement, and now they're making a comeback. And now we got all these criminals that we got to pick up off the street.
Yeah, I don't see how that can happen. You know, it's been closed for over 60 years, and it was too expensive to operate then. Now, think about it. Got to run boats back and forth, supplies, food, whatnot, back and forth. And you also got to run the convicts back and forth. Or maybe not back and forth, but you got to bring them to there. That costs. Price of fuel, whatever. It would be very expensive. I don't see how that can work. But anyway, it's kind of neat, to think that they want to reopen it. I'm all for it, except for the cost. I don't know. We shall see. I'm going to stay on top of this story here because I'm curious.